Good afternoon from Area 51 Raceway. We're going on a road trip today. We're going to go check out Race Track Scenics. Come join us. And welcome to Area 51 Raceway. We are off to Mocksville, North Carolina, where we're going to go visit Kevin Sharp at Race Track Scenics. And he does a lot of products for scenery for stock car racing tracks. So let's check him out. So good afternoon here from Area 51 Raceway. I'm here with Kevin Sharp from Race Track Scenics. Race Track Scenics is the new product that came out that's making a lot of really cool stuff. As you can see off toward his right, the products that he has, that he offers, and they're really fantastic. He was showing me some of the details of them, and they're really sharp details on them. I mean, you can see workbenches. He accommodates for, you know, the car, and it looks really good stuff. So Kevin, thanks for letting me come over and check everything out. And so how long have you been into slot cars, basically?
Since I was 4. My earliest memories was going to a commercial slot car track with my grandfather and my father and my uncle, and fell in love with it like any 4-year-old would fall in love with cars going around really fast. And most of my childhood was, you know, slot cars. HO scale at my house that I'd wear out a break, and my dad had 2 big giant slot car boxes full of stuff that would probably be worth millions of dollars right now. Big money now if it was still in existence, but I probably played with them until they disappeared or broke. So I've been doing it since as long as I can remember. I remember sometime in like 1982, shortly before I got my driver's license, riding my bike to go slot car racing at a place called Tiny Tim's in Michigan. I get there, and they had closed down. They had an auction, and only one of the tracks, they had 2 tracks, only one of them I guess had sold. So they're chainsawing the track into little pieces.
Oh, wow.
So I always like to say that slot car racing has broken my heart a few times because of that. And my son and I, got into home racing again in the early 2000s. And go to Professor Motor and built a large Arton track from stuff that I bought from him, but had heard about through the legendary home racing world and Harry Wise.
Yeah, because you lived in Salem, Michigan, so you.
Well, I lived nearby. I lived in Troy, Michigan, and when they were in Livonia, so it was about a 30-minute drive. When they moved to Saline, I would just order it from them and show up the next day. It would be easier than driving to Saline. But,
so what got you started into at least doing all of this that you're doing right now, which is, you know, the laser wood cutting and stuff like that? What kind of prompted you to get into that?
Well, right about the end of 2020, when the shutdown happened, my business was hard shut down for 4 months. Couldn't open it at all. Insurance company wouldn't let us open. Michigan was closed. My other business still is in a small way, a small amount. It was a recording studio and working with music production and commercials and such. So COVID shut me down for 4 months, and I eventually ran out of things to do around the house that were needed, and I was looking for something to do other than watching Netflix or whatever. So I looked for a used slot car track, It was going to take over part of the basement for a slot car track, and then did that, and then started following this guy. Nobody knows about him, but people should. This Boone, Boone Slot Car Garage. I'm just kidding; he's real popular. But anyway, I started watching his stuff, and I would build his things out of balsa wood. I would watch how do you do this, and I'd build them. And he did the ESO guy, and did various things. And I built some of those things and started building my own stuff. And then I discovered this gentleman online was selling laser cut plans, and that's Johan Milan. And he's my partner, and he's in South Africa. Let's see how small. Grandstand. This is one of his original designs, and he sold me the plan for $20 or whatever to build this particular kit. And I had a friend of mine who had a laser cutter, and we made this and a few other things. And then I'm like, this stuff's cool, but it's it's done from a different perspective than what I remembered. My memories of racing were Herbie the Love Bug and Riverside. Earliest memories, watching the Le Mans movie, watching the Grand Prix movie, Wide World of Sports. When I was a kid, when I was 10 years old. I loved racing, and I got into racing because of slot cars. A lot of people get into slot cars because they love racing. They love the cars. Some cars I didn't even know or had any contact with until I was a Lotus slot car or a Chaparral. Never saw one in person. Those things weren't on television when I was 8, 9 years old, but they were slot cars. So my only thing was that. So now when I started watching YouTube videos and see a race at Riverside or a race or that, I connected to it because I had seen Riverside in the Love Bug movie. Or when I watched things at Le Mans, you saw all those signs, those cool, all the advertising. That's what I did primarily when I first started this, was advertising signs. So I started asking Johan, hey, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And then we decided, my family and I decided to move from Michigan to here in North Carolina. And I said to Johan, I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands because I'm closing my business. Could we talk about possibly partnering up, because he's in South Africa. It's difficult to sell anything to anybody in South Africa unless they're in South Africa. And would you consider letting me be your representative for your designs? I wasn't even thinking for a second at that point that I would be like, hey, we should do this, and then we would be bouncing things off each other, because of the distance. But that's what happened. It's like, why can't we do this? Why can't this, this was one of his original designs to begin with, why can't this have stairway inside? Why can't this have, a removable roof so you can detail your layout? You can put figures in there.
Put lights and everything.
Lights. Why can't it have this? He never heard of most of the, because he's from South Africa. His purview was European Formula One. So he had never heard of Riverside, and I started talking about Riverside. So, why can't we do this? The monolith sign from Riverside, and because to me it brings back memories of watching that show or seeing the Wide World of Sports on a Sunday or whatever.
Especially with the movie that came out, maybe what was it, a year ago now, or maybe more than a year, which was the Le Mans '66 or Ford versus Ferrari. There's a lot of that.
Right.
A lot of history in there also with that.
We have we've already released it, but it's being revamped. It's a complete Le Mans building segment, because it's like when you're building buildings for somebody's slot car track, they're not going to have enough room for 56 stalls.
Unless they have a very big house.
Yes, if you do, contact me. We'll hook you up. But it means but if you notice the Le Mans pit, there was seems to be a follow-up pattern. There'll be four pits, and then an administrative office, because there's 24 hours of technical things. They have to have an office to keep track of 56 cars for 24 straight hours, plus, anything. So it's built for very particular needs in the 60s. Nowadays, it's a very different thing. But in the 60s, like Ford versus Ferrari, you could see the way the pits were constructed and the way they started off with just the pits, and then they added another level for the owner's box, and then they added general admission seating and big elaborate staircases in the back to get to that. So if you go on my website, you can see where we built that, but I'm revamping it just a little bit to make it a little more simple to build. But it's those things that connect to me, and that's what we try to do. Hope that people, can see where we're influenced by actual, buildings, but also have made them so they'll fit your track.
What scales do you offer on what you make right now?
Currently we make 1/32. Everything kind of starts off 1/32, and we do HO or 1/64 scale, and we just started to do 1/43 scale, and we'll do 1/24 or 1/25 scale by special order, and it's only a $10 extra to do a special order on something like that if you wanted to get a 1/24 scale. Most people, that are doing 1/32 at 1/24 scale or 1/25 scale just go with 1/32 because it doesn't look that bad. The interesting thing about the 1/43 scale line is all of our signs and things that aren't actual buildings, scenery items, also look good on 1/32 scale tracks where space is limited.
So you also make custom orders as requested as you did?
Yeah, we're happy to do anything, and modify existing designs, free to $10 extra, and then custom designs. It's not going to be a whole lot of. That's why I always tell people, just let me know what you like. We'll do our best to make it for you. Johan and I love a challenge, and as long as it's okay for us to release that as a product for somebody else, we're probably only going to charge you an extra $20 because we have to build it, make sure it fits together, and we're going to use up materials before we send you the kit. If you're going to go with the finished product, we can just give you a price up front that doesn't have that in there.
Well, I know you did a sign for me and for home racing where I really liked the sign. You even painted it. It came out really good. I did make a video on a short one about it on the page or on the channel. Real good quality work. I mean, it looked fantastic. I use it on my videos on my badge, as you see. It's always there. It's a nice big sign and it just stands out on you. So what exactly is the process you use to make the product? You start out, type of wood and whatnot, and how you just go about.
Well, all of our kits are laser cut for the most part. They come in a package like this. It's kind of an industry standard thing, and other manufacturers for hobbies are using the same process. We use we design it, the artwork and everything, convert it into a file that the laser machine can cut, and I'll show you. I'm going to cut a product for you later.
Sure.
Then you show that for B-roll,
but you need to show the best part about your packaging, which is you don't see very often, which is that package right there. Can you show us those decals right there? That's probably something you don't see too much made in the USA. Those are awesome. That's great because, as we know, a lot of products do come from overseas, and it's just the nature of the beast. But it's nice to have something made in the United States here, and that's nice.
Fortunately, at the current volume that we make these, and the fact that we're making them largely just for fun and to be a part of the slot car community and make things that are fun for us to make. We don't have to charge a whole lot, and there's no tooling set up. And between Johan being a retired actual engineer, had worked in civil engineering forever and built actual bridges. Some of our products, like if you look at this, this is MDF. MDF by itself, there's really nothing to it. But this is actual structure because it's actually designed like you would do a real structure. And this is originally based on what we saw when I was watching the Silverstone Grand Prix, or British Grand Prix. I'm like, we should do that because it looked really cool. So this was the prototype. It's got a few mistakes in it, but that doesn't fit. So we corrected that, but that's what this is based on in Silverstone. And it's based on the actual structure. So it actually has
Yeah, I think that's
Where
what I noticed. It's actually really firm. It doesn't like.
But that's engineering,
Yeah.
you know. Again, this is exactly the same material, and it's nothing to it. Nothing to it. But if you put it together just the right way, it comes out like this. Which is, I saw this, and hey, somebody needs to do that, so we did.
That's pretty nice.
And then we do some artwork, and print it out on a printer. Signs like yours. So a lot of our products have printed artwork. That would be something like this.
And that's actually an actual scale bridge.
Yeah, I mean it's the actual structure, pretty darn close, because there's lots of close-up pictures after they close the raceway down. You can see it without the canvas, because these were just canvas pullovers, I believe. If not, they were painted thin wood. So this is just paper glued on, and we provide the artwork. And you put it on yourself. If you spray it with clear dull coat from Testers, it doesn't behave like paper anymore. It doesn't fade. So that's cool. But what I really like doing, and we do that with my MG bridge, which is probably the best selling bridge that we make.
That is really nice. That's cool. I like how that's engraved in there. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It scares people when they buy it for some reason, but that's wood.
Wow. That's just great artwork on there. I mean,
Right.
That texture.
It's not really. People get worried because they say, I can't paint that well. I can't get the lines straight. What we do is the kit comes with individual pieces.
So you don't have to worry about actually
like the M and the G, and then here. So you paint it the separate pieces. Anybody can do that, and then they just like when you were a kid, push them in.
Wow, that makes it a lot easier.
It's as long as you let it dry, and it won't come out because laser cut. It's like 0.8 gap after the laser cuts it. So you paint it, and that covers that gap up, and you push these in, and they're not going to come out.
Oh wow!
I mean, you make them come out.
But you had to really push them out.
If you had, like I said, I've messed up stuff and had to do it and broke them. So it's pretty. And this has a much better look than inkjet painted sign, and that's how I did your sign.
It has that 3-dimension look.
Right, I did your sign. I painted the face of it and the letters separate. And sometimes you have and one of the reasons that this one's here is that I unfortunately painted this from 2 different batches of the supposedly same paint. You can sort of see that it's
orange or more than.
but it's the same, 2 different cans. How's that happen? So anyway, you could easily get this look.
Okay.
But basically, and you just press these in here.
Wow.
What's really cool is, if you look at, like if you were to, I don't know if you can see it in there.
Yeah.
You see the back side of the
Yes.
letters? If you were to walk through that bridge and it was a canvas sign, the sunlight would bleed through and you would see the letters in reverse. But you can't print that. I mean, I guess you could print both sides, but this is more realistic for me, and this is my.
That's a popular seller.
Oh yeah, this is from Sebring, Safety Fast. We did a 2-lane and a 4-lane version of it. I mean, it's like $40, and anybody could make this. Can you paint one color? There's a lot of people say, I don't know if I could paint those sharp lines. I can't either.
No, that's
All you
a
have to do is paint.
great solution.
You paint and put it back together. Basically, cut into little pieces and put them back together, and then just glue that in there, and
That's it. Wow.
and that's that. It's so much fun, and I've done I don't know if you can see this picture up here. It's one of my favorite ones. The Martini and Rossi. Martini and Rossi. That if you look at the Sebring Bridge, or in Sebring, there's the Martini and Rossi Bridge. And all these are like that. Even this one's, individual pieces painted. This one was difficult to do, and I didn't do it on this because it was tough for me, and I've done 100 of them, so we'll go with the painted one on that, or a printed one on that one. But this here, they didn't even use their, somebody hand painted it at Sebring. And it's at the start finish line or behind the grid. So it's in all these pictures. But the fonts are different. So I had to actually stretch the fonts out and to get the look that I wanted to be as close as I could for that.
Have you done any like gold signs? I know gold was a real popular one with orange. I get one orange. The blue and the orange. Yeah. See that a lot of people. That's really nice. Wow. And that's really. I mean, you can see.
I did raised letters on this one, but the one we sell, it's all in set, so it's like the badge.
Gotcha.
This was the early one that I did. This one I did before I even thought of ever, selling a product. So this is like hand painted with, acrylic paint, like you get it. I spray things now. Looks better when it's the badge. I've made a few for customers, and they don't put them on their layout. They put them on their desk at work. Because it's
so.
I know. It just makes me feel good. That and the Esso sign. I sold all my Essos. I'm gonna make some more this week. The Esso guy, but all made out of wood.
Wow.
So instead of printed, individual pieces painted, and it has the structure. You can look online, you can see it. It's a structure sort of like, and I made it short. We made it shorter. I made it. Johan designed it. I came up with whatever. We're a team. But there's a structure. If you look at the thing, it's 40, 50 feet to keep it from falling over. But it's missing from missing from different other people's models. So we've got that, and it's a separate piece. So you could actually have that on your layout. So you look down. And one of the other things that I noticed, being a fan of Le Mans and a fan of the Esso guy in particular, for whatever reason, probably because of the movie.
Everybody has a fan favorite.
Right, because of the movie. Oddly, I want to do the Hoover sign from the Le Mans movie because there's a big Hoover sign. It's like everything's like Shell and all these different, Martini and Gulf, and then there's a Hoover vacuum sign. So I want to do that. But back to that, it's like I always try. Where are they at in relationship of the lap because of the Esso guy? But the Esso guy was two-sided sign, so I make the sign has two sides. So you can put it in the, the final curve headed up to the pit straight, and it looks right. Cause it's like one of those things where you watch it. Where are they at in the lap? Are they going to the pit or are they going away from the pit? So, for a 49 by 33 inch piece of MDF, and like I said, I was telling you earlier, this MDF is double sifted, and it's not off the shelf stuff you get from. Lowe's or Home Depot or anything like that. Not that that stuff's bad, but it's intended for a different purpose. You get this from a place that makes actual furniture. One of the nice things about living in North Carolina is there's lots of places that make furniture. I didn't know Thomasville was a town.
Yeah, it was
a brand.
Furniture capital or something like that.
Right, yeah. So that's somebody said, yeah, I'll buy 10 sheets of it. You can buy this MDF at a very reasonable price, but it's double sifted. And it's smooth and it's consistent. So it's like when you're manufacturing something, you have to be more than one of them, and you don't want to waste material. You want the material to be consistent. So that's what I use. Not all MDF is the same. You could use regular MDF you get from Lowe's or whatever. If you're doing a one-off, probably just fine. But you got to make 10 of these and have them be high quality. You need to start with a quality material. So. Take my laser machine and turn it on.
The machine is burning. Turn on the ventilation.
Speed building. still go pretty quick after you get past the letter. I've changed the font so it actually does the lettering a lot faster now.
Right now it's doing the lettering, you said?
Yeah, the engraving of what product it is.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And after that, it just starts whizzing around.
And I've changed the font so it actually. Right now, it's actually drawing out multiple. You can do cursive handwriting or printing or calligraphy. We're doing the equivalent of calligraphy right now. I'm changing it to a single line, like a cursive thing, and then it cuts the individual piece like it would fit in the package.
Right there.
And get it vented outside. So a regular production type run, this would be like doing a prototype. We're doing a production, fill up the whole sheet, let it go, and then do something else in the area because
you want to maximize your
use of material, and you also don't want. You have to be in the room when you're using this because there's actual air blowing on it, actually catching on fire.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Because otherwise it would just catch on fire.
That's not good.
And if it did catch on fire, I mean, it's happened on one of my smaller machines, and I caught it right away. It's not like big giant flames that would ruin the material and potentially burn its way through the hoses for electrical. Probably wouldn't burn down the house, but it would definitely.
Still, it's a fire. Fire's not good.
Yeah. And this can cut about 40 millimeters per second. Typical machine, like a hobbyist machine, you're looking at 2 or 3 millimeters per second. So when I originally was doing the prototypes, starting off doing this particular thing, it's a hobby, it would take 3 or 4 hours to do one of these. And if something went wrong, which it frequently did, because in 3 or 4 hours somebody can come by and bump it, power would go off. The way the machine was set up, it was smaller, so it didn't hold the work very well. So you could spend 3 hours and just end up with stuff you can't use. Whereas this, you know within a couple minutes whether it's going to work or not. And with this, the gantry, the way that worked was kind of it's like an inkjet printer or a old dot matrix printer, moving it around based on a grid. But this particular machine is far more precise than the machines that I was originally using. So thus, the repeatability for quality. When we first started selling products using the smaller machines, 1 out of every 4 or 5 might be not correct, and it have to be very careful with making sure the customer got something that wasn't bad.
Right.
This is perfect.
Oh.
Every time, and they're exactly the same. You can change parts from each one.
Well, that's pretty quick. Pretty straightforward, yeah. Wow.
So there it is, and then there are little tabs like model cars have to hold the piece in the work, but all the inner pieces I just have fall out and throw away. That gives it a nice, cool, clean edge on the inside. If when you pop one of these out, you have little spots that you need to clean up.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
It's harder to clean up the inside, so try to stay away from that. And these just pop out without anything.
You smack them out. Oh.
Yeah. So if a customer gets one of these, hey, a part's missing. Well, it's a part you don't need, and you don't have to sand inside of something to clean that up. And you can 200 grit sandpaper in 5 seconds.
We'll take that out. Yeah, that'll be really easy to knock down.
Yep.
And that one is, what scale is that one right there?
132nd.
132nd. That's pretty cool.
It's big enough for most.
Yeah.
124 scale.
Yep, it'll fit. Yep, 124, which is fine. Wow.
Now, I was thinking about this today after we talked on the phone. I want to do a podium. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about doing a driver's podium.
Yeah, for the winter ones.
But what would be really cool is to do a nice, based on this particular design, 3-level podium for the cars into the race, and then you can put the big arbor in the back and flags and stuff. That would be cool for people. So A, display cars off the track, and B, if you're having your friends over.
Club racing, they do that. If you notice, they do club racing. They'll put first, second, and third. That's something that a lot of people would do.
But I want to do something that's really, something that'd be really cool. You just leave the cars there and take pictures of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of all these things are like standalone. What I wanted on my desk. If I was a kid, would that be cool? Like if you bought the Aston Martin Lego car and you put it together and you put it on your shelf when you were a kid or whatever, Lego fan, whatever. Would it stand on its own? That's kind of how I try to think about when I have ideas for stuff. And then Johan turns his ideas and my ideas into what we can manufacture. Then we try to make it something that we can manufacture inexpensively. It opens up doors for people to do whatever they want to do. Like if you buy a model kit and it's supposed to be the mongoose or the dragster, there's really only one way you can take that if you want to make it look like the mongoose. I'd rather make something that opens your eyes and have like imagination. How can I make this something really cool? Like our monolith sign. It could have anything on it. You have your raceway name, your favorite sponsors.
Yeah, you can custom it, do whatever you want.
And this is paper, so you can just go on whatever you want. So you can make that be whatever it is you want it. If you're an Aston Martin fan or Ferrari fan, you could put Ferrari on this.
Yep. There's the stairs and the workbench behind there too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see the towers. Those are the ones that are really cool. The Press Tower and the Sunoco Tower. That's not something really a nice addition to have. That's really cool. Even the floor is really detailed too.
Expanded metal.
Yeah.
It's I was thinking diamond plate, but it's kind of hard to make diamond plate look right, and also you have to engrave it in such a way it would take a really long time to do. But expanded metal is just two ways to cut them.
And you have the Sunoco Tower over there too. It's kind of like a
like the wood plank.
Yes, the wood planking there. It's pretty cool. There's the Sunoco sign. That's neat. That's really nice. Wow.
My son and I go to the 24 Hours Daytona, and they have these towers. Now, these were originally for spotters. Spotters go to a different spot now, but like they'll put the camera nest, or a Marshall communication.
Yeah.
The original one has a post. We used a structure because you can't laser cut a post.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something, we wanted to do something that we could do in house and not have to buy a dowel. But there is really no reason why a customer couldn't just not use this, put a 1-inch dowel, and then this is still attached to the dowel.
Oh, okay.
So you can still get the safety stairs.
Remember the big 76 ball?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
You
can't because it's round. Yeah.
You do round. But this again is my the layer design where the letters are cut out. So you paint this yellow, paint those red. So you can paint the arrows red, dark blue, it's almost purple, and then yellow. And then you just push them in. It's even got the little flare on
on the end there.
On the end, on both sides, double-sided, and this side, the back plate.
Oh wow.
So typically that would be the sign you would see. When you do double-sided, they actually have to be. It can't be mirrored because the letters
Right.
be backwards.
Be backwards.
You had to reverse engineer that. So if you see this at the Daytona, we also sell. I don't have any pictures of it, and I haven't got a chance to build it up. But like if you go to Darlington or any of the smaller tracks, they all have Sunoco signs like this, but there's no tower, there's no pier. So I have the actual
Just to sign itself.
separate sign with a post.
That's really nice. I like that.
And you have this on each end of the pit lane in all NASCAR tracks because Sunoco's official fuel. So if you go back to the 60s, like the Gulf was the official fuel. We also have that. That's coming out soon. This one's missing a letter. Turn it that way. Yeah, I made these, all of these, because I had forgot to push one particular button. So all the pieces just fell out.
Oh, really?
They weren't in the packageable thing. So I was like, I gotta make a whole bunch of them. Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Especially with the stairways on the inside. I mean, it's not a replica of anything.
No, but it's neat. It's really nice.
All right. So what do we got for the future? You got as far as products will go?
Well, I want to do something a little bit different, or be a little bit the same. I always wanted a wood track growing up.
And this is what you got right here. This one right here.
And this is the second one, actually the third one, that I have made. It's a lot smoother than a plastic track. It uses braid. The slot width can be anything you want it to be. And this particular one, I wanted it to be something that I could ship for a reasonable price to a customer. Without having freight, without having to rent a truck and come pick it up. So this arrives in 4 foot, a 4 foot by 32 foot, 4 foot by 32 inch by 4 inch box. And it's basically 3 big sections. You slide together and you put dowels in, and then it will come painted. And the adhesive for the braid is already applied. So you can just peel off the protection, or the back of the glue, and then you just set the braid in the slot.
So you've basically done the hard part, which is actually putting the tape, which is what I understand is the hardest part to do to begin with.
And cutting the slots so that it's,
pretty much all manufactured. This is MDF painted with latex paint, correct?
You're right.
Okay.
Kills primer and painted MDF.
Gotcha.
The track has to arrive painted, so because you can't put the adhesive down
Right.
without having primer and tape, or a primer and paint on it. Otherwise, the MDF just comes up with the adhesive. So,
would you also, not to interrupt you, would you also, if the customer requested, color the lanes on the inside, or however, like red, white, or?
Yeah, you could do that. That'd be easy. Because it's a laminated thing. There's actually 2 pieces of wood. So the track is CNC'd with 2 different layers, and then glued together. It makes the MDF a lot more stable. I can control the process. If it was to take regular MDF and CNC the slot, you'd have structural weak points where all the slots are. So if I was to ship it to get charred, it could potentially break that. The track surface is backed by another piece of MDF. It's a total separate thing, so there's not like a weak point.
Gotcha. And then this is really like flush inside here. I can see this. I mean, it's not sticking up. It's actually just at the same level as.
Yeah. Shout out to Slot Car Corner for making a great tool for that.
Yeah, they do make
and
a great
this
tool.
isn't completed, but all of the my idea is to put a track that you get and you put it together, and all of the scenic elements are there and made, ready to go, or it's kit form, or you could buy just a track.
Right, and this is just a prototype, basically, is what you have here.
Right.
Because you have to still
that
refine
I can do it. Yeah. And do it so that I don't want to disappoint you. So it's okay. I love this. So
want them to be excited and be happy when they get it.
When they get it, I don't care about the money. I don't really care about that. I mean, it's not I'm doing this. I want somebody to get this and feel like I feel when I do this. I mean, I think we all share a common feeling. I mean,
it's a passion, is what you have.
To me, it makes me feel young. Like, it makes me feel excited about things like I felt when I was 10, and there was a whole world of possibilities, and anything could be great. And you look forward to Saturday morning to go slot car racing, and then all week you fix your car or whatever after school. And to me, it was what I loved when I was a kid. So this is something that I love now. And my son is into stuff like this as well. He's more into real racing, but he and I will spend an hour doing laps on the old blaster track. And I'm doing this because this
You
is
have
a
a
lot of
passion
fun.
for it. You have a passion for it. And that's what.
So I'm about a week away from this being done, and then it'll be done. That's bad. I don't want it to be done. I want to do another one.
I know what you mean.
I want to. So that's why I say I want to build these. I want to sell them to somebody. Gives me enough money to build the next one. So it's like, I don't know. If you ever try to order a custom track, particularly a wood custom track, there's some people out there doing it, and they all do really good work. Can't say anything bad, but they're all, it's a lot of money because it's expensive to do. Which I understand because it is. I know how to do it now. It's not cheap, but you put your money down, and they're 18 months away from being able to deliver it. Or it's out of the reach of a lot of people. They don't have the space because it needs to be big.
Right.
This design could be expanded upon to any length, linear length that you want. You just keep adding more sections in here. Made this to fit the space that I have. I like the scenery. I'm not racing with anybody. I just want it to be fun. I want to crash the car. I want it to be that. So I set this up to be kind of a jalopy track where the lanes come together. The cars are going to hit each other. It's a small track, but it's just going to be like down and knock you off the track. But I want it to have detail and have lots of places to put scenery and have a thing. And there's other pieces that aren't here. The driver's station is going to be here with the red, white, and black connectors. And in the back is going to be an entire separate piece. It's got grandstands and the scoreboard and all that stuff is going to be along the back. But in order to make it so you can ship it to somebody or fit in somebody's house, that's going to be a separate piece that you push the stuff against. That way, if somebody doesn't want that or doesn't have space for it, they just don't get it.
Let's turn it on. We got the mod that I brought here from home.
I love that car.
We'll run it around. You can see he's got the power supply just turned on, just so it'll power it up.
Just made it hard to get to.
Yeah, we moved everything.
Ready?
Turn it on, go for it. Whoa! That's
I
fast!
scared you.
Yeah, you did. I was just gonna come off. I was like, oh well.
The cars handle really well. It's like a lot of, when we first started talking about doing this, is the fact that it's difficult, if not impossible, to get magnetic braid in the United States anymore. There was one guy that was getting it for Professor Motor, and everybody else was using it. And to my knowledge, there isn't anybody importing it right now. It's not that it's not being made. It's just that it's not being made available to DIY slot car track builders.
Right. And this is a nice small oval. I like it.
But imagine 3 of those with your buddies, or your friends, your kids, whatever, racing on this. In the center lane, it's done in such a way that the inside lane and the outside lane.
Rubbing around.
There's no rubbing between the inside and the outside lane. The middle lane is a teardrop shape, so it interferes with the outside lane on one side and the inside lane on the other.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And we can do any kind of layout. We have 5 different ones planned, and my goal is to have. We'd love to do custom designs for people. But I think a lot of people would much rather have a track. If they decide they want a wood slot car track and they know they got 16 by 8 foot to work with, they can order it and have it in a couple weeks. You start doing custom designs, which we plan to do as well. That adds a lot of time into it, and then you have to test it. Some things might not work, so we're hoping to have, the designs made and ready to go. And we're making it all on my machine over there. My machine has pass-through, so you can pass. If you could buy 16 feet of MDF, you could make one 16-foot
section
design. But you can only really get 4x8 sheets unless you're buying it straight from the manufacturer. But the cars handle really well. on the track, with even without magnets. And 1.4 scale with some more heaviness there.
Yeah, it runs pretty good. I mean,
You were nervous there for a second, right?
just a little. I was like, oh, it's gonna crash.
It was.
I've had that happen.
It wasn't intentional, but
No, I know it
definitely
wasn't.
funny.
Yeah, it was.
The other thing, see how I cut the.
Yeah, to fit that right there.
Yeah, and it was my attempt to make it so if the car hits it, it doesn't damage the car.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's a
what
good
it also
idea.
doesn't do, though, is it doesn't stop the car from going on the floor. So that's why I'm going to go with the yoga mat material. Cut like this.
This
and
is
attach.
from the yoga mat, then basically
This is MDF, but it'll leave yoga mat material. So it'll be soft.
pushing the car.
Things like this, or like Carrera's got, or other companies have had them in the past. You go, damn, why are they so expensive? $50 for this. It's a lot of material. And they're not selling a million of them. Even this in MDF, the time it takes to make something like this, even out of material that doesn't, use scrap to make these, it's the time that it takes to cut them. So I still think this could work, but I need to have attached fence. That side, the grandstands would actually be attached fence, but over here I'm thinking to have a, fishing, fishing net type catch.
This track's really nice. It's very small. It's great. Great that you could actually get something like this and just.
We come and visit in August, we'll be able to. I'm going to have all of the designs set up at one time.
Oh, cool.
So, talking with Kevin, I've realized that he really has a big passion for what he does. He really is focused on the customer satisfaction of his product, which is really important. He mentioned that the money doesn't matter, that, so forth. But that goes to show you that he really wants to produce a product that is very, easy to set up as far as, putting the pieces together and, doing very little. And basically his stuff is like putting a puzzle together. Now the track he'll be offering will be really interesting because, of course, it'll be painted, and I'm sure you could request a color if you wanted to paint the surface a different color other than gray, I guess, and what you want. What's really interesting is that the tape is already laid in there for the braid, so all you're basically doing is peeling the tape back off and putting the braid on. And I understand that the tape it's kind of a little bit tough to do, and so it would be a little bit intimidating for the first time user, but this is really an awesome idea because you could do a lot more with needing to get things together with very little, how would you say, work to get it accomplished. And he'll be opening a shop up in August, and we're going to go check it out and see what he's got, because he'll have other layouts for different, configurations of tracks, so you could see what he has available. Again, Race Track Scenics, very, very dedicated, to customer satisfaction. The products are really good, and I highly recommend them. And please go to his website, which is racetrackscenics.com, and you can find out what you could, buy there. And again, custom orders too, all scales, very good product. And I thank Kevin for inviting me over to his home and showing me what he's got. I look forward to going to his shop. So I hope you enjoyed this segment. It was very long, but I wanted to make sure everybody understood the product. That's why the video ran a little bit, quite a longer, one of the longest videos I've produced. So as always, you take care and have fun racing.